Among the many other questions raised by the nebulous concept of greed is why it is a term applied almost exclusively to those who want to earn more money or to keep what they have already earned, never to those wanting to take other people's money in taxes or to those wishing to live on the largesse dispensed from such taxation. No amount of taxation is ever described as greed on the part of government or the clientele of government. When people choose their occupations according to what the public wants and is willing to pay for, that is greed. But when the public is forced to pay for what the anointed want done, that is public service.
All right, everybody, ready to dive in? Today, we're wading into some pretty deep waters, greed.
Yeah, greed. Everyone's got an opinion on that.
Right, and we've got this source really digs into how we use that word greed,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about, economics and stuff.
Which is, loaded topic, right?
Totally. This piece, by the way, really got me thinking about it differently. Like right out of the gate, it defines greed in a way I hadn't considered.
Oh, yeah.
So they're talking about how people choose jobs.
Right.
And they say when folks go for the jobs that pay more, because those jobs are in high demand.
Supply and demand, right.
Exactly. They're saying that's greed. What do you think about that?
Well, it's tricky, right? Because it's like baked into that definition, there's already this judgment about making money.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're almost programmed to think some jobs, those public service type jobs, those are the noble ones, even if they don't pay as much.
Interesting.
But this author, they're saying even those jobs, it's still about getting money, just framed differently.
And they had this one line really stuck with me. They said, when people choose their occupations according to what the public wants and is willing to pay for, that is greed.
Okay, I'm listening.
But when the public is forced to pay for what the anointed want done, that is public service.
Ooh, the anointed, that's loaded.
Right. Makes you wonder, who are they talking about? Like, is it the government? People in power? Something else, who gets to decide?
Yeah, see, and that's what I find fascinating. It's like, this author's pointing out this double standard, right?
Totally.
Like, if a person chases a bigger paycheck, boom, greed. But when the government's the one taking a bigger piece of the pie, taxes and all that, suddenly it's public service.
Yeah.
Makes you think about those systems,
For sure. And that actually, it leads right into the second part of what we're diving into here, because the author really goes after taxes. They're saying that taking wealth through taxes, it's almost never called greed.
It's true. Rarely hear that, do we?
What's your take on that? I think it makes you question the whole thing. Like, how do we decide which ways of getting wealth are okay and which ones are greedy? History is full of examples where people thought taxes were out of line. Like, look at the Boston Tea Party. That whole thing started because people felt like taxes were unfair.
Right. And it wasn't just about the money. It was about
Control. Right. Who decides?
Exactly. Like, who has the power to take more and call it something else?
Yeah.
And speaking of history, this author even says this. No amount of taxation is ever described as greed on the part of government or the clientele of government. Like, they're calling us out, right? 100%. I think they want us to really think about the words we use. Like, when an individual wants a raise, are they being greedy? Or are they just working within the system? And if the government raises taxes, is that always for the public good? Or are there times when it goes too far?
This whole conversation is giving me a lot to think about. Greed is way more complicated than just some simple idea.
Right. It's about systems, history, even how we use language to spin things.
So, last thought for everyone listening. The author seems to be saying that greed at its core is about wanting more. But is there really a difference between you wanting a fatter wallet and the government wanting more taxes? And who gets to decide which one is greedy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Something to chew on.